You're sitting in a meeting, pitching an idea you've spent weeks refining. You can feel the energy shift as someone interrupts, dismisses your suggestion, and moves on as if your voice doesn't matter. Sound familiar? That sting of being underestimated, whether at work, in relationships, or even by yourself, is something we've all faced. But here's the thing, how you respond in those moments can either define you or refine you. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What if I told you that Stoicism offers a roadmap for turning moments of underestimation into opportunities for growth? Not by fighting back with anger or proving yourself to others, but by cultivating an unshakable inner strength. In this video, we'll explore timeless Stoic principles like detachment, resilience, and self-mastery tools that can help you rise above the noise and focus on what truly matters, your own growth and peace of mind. Whether you're feeling overlooked, undervalued, or simply stuck, these insights will empower you to respond with clarity and confidence. So, let's dive in and discover how to transform those moments of doubt into stepping stones for your personal evolution. Stoicism reminds us that others' opinions are beyond our control. This might sound simple, but it's a profound shift in perspective. Think about it. When someone underestimates you, their judgment says more about them than it does about you. Stoicism teaches us to focus not on what others think, but on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and character. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "You become what you give your attention to." If you're constantly worrying about how others perceive you, you're giving your power away. Instead, Stoicism invites us to turn inward and cultivate virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. These are the qualities that truly define us, not the fleeting opinions of others. Let's bring this to life with a modern example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague dismisses your idea in front of the team. It's easy to feel deflated, to question your abilities, or even to lash out in frustration. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and reminded yourself, their opinion is theirs, not mine. I know the value of my work. This shift doesn't mean ignoring feedback or refusing to grow. It means not letting someone else's judgment dictate your self-worth. Now, take a moment to reflect. How often do you let others' opinions shape how you see yourself? Do you find yourself seeking validation from people whose judgments are ultimately out of your control? Stoicism challenges us to break free from this cycle, to stop handing over the keys to our self-esteem. It's not about becoming indifferent to others, but about recognizing that your worth isn't determined by their approval. By focusing on what you can control: your effort, your integrity, your growth, you reclaim your power, and that's where true strength lies. What if you could remain unshaken by others' underestimation? What if, instead of feeling hurt or defensive, you could respond with calm clarity? This is where the Stoic practice of cognitive detachment comes into play. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about creating a mental space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, the sting of being underestimated often comes from the stories we tell ourselves about what it means. We imagine it as a reflection of our worth, a sign of failure, or a reason to doubt ourselves. But cognitive detachment invites us to step back and see the situation for what it is, an external event, not a definition of who we are. Take the example of George Washington during the American Revolution. Time and again, he faced doubters and critics who questioned his leadership. Yet he remained steadfast, not because he was immune to criticism, but because he refused to let it dictate his actions. He focused on what he could control: his strategy, his resolve, and his commitment to the cause. By detaching from the noise of others' opinions, he was able to lead with clarity and purpose. Now think about a time when you overreacted to criticism or underestimation. Maybe you felt a surge of anger, or perhaps you withdrew, doubting your abilities. What if, in that moment, you had paused and asked yourself, is this reaction serving me, or am I giving away my power? Cognitive detachment isn't about ignoring feedback or refusing to grow. It's about choosing how you engage with it so you can respond from a place of strength rather than insecurity. This practice takes time and effort, but the rewards are profound. When you learn to separate your emotions from external events, you gain the freedom to act with intention rather than react out of habit. You stop letting others' opinions define your worth and start focusing on what truly matters: your growth, your values, and your peace of mind. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember, their judgment is their own. Your power lies in how you choose to respond, and that choice can transform a moment of doubt into an opportunity for growth. Being underestimated can be your greatest teacher. It's in those moments of doubt, when others question your abilities or dismiss your potential, that you have the chance to discover just how strong you truly are. Stoicism teaches us that adversity isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. Why? Because it's through challenges that we build resilience, the kind of inner strength that allows us to rise above any obstacle. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very things that seem to hold us back, whether it's criticism, rejection, or underestimation, can become the fuel for our growth. When someone doubts you, they're handing you an opportunity to prove them wrong, not by seeking their approval, but by focusing on your own progress and potential. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling, who was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was finally accepted. Imagine if she had let those rejections define her. Instead, she used them as motivation to keep going, to refine her work, and to believe in her vision. That's the Stoic approach to adversity, not as a roadblock but as a stepping stone. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to strengthen your character, sharpen your skills, and deepen your resolve. Now think about your own life. What's one challenge you're facing right now that feels like a setback? Maybe it's a project at work that's been dismissed, a goal that others don't believe in, or even a personal dream that feels out of reach. What if, instead of seeing it as a barrier, you reframed it as an opportunity? What if you asked yourself, how can this challenge help me grow? What can I learn from it? Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing it head-on and finding meaning in the struggle. It's about recognizing that every time someone underestimates you, they're giving you a chance to rise higher, to dig deeper, and to become more than you were before. So, the next time you feel overlooked or undervalued, remember, adversity isn't your enemy, it's your teacher, and the lessons it offers can transform not just how you respond to challenges, but who you become in the process. Self-mastery is the antidote to external doubt. When others underestimate you, it's easy to let their skepticism seep into your mind, planting seeds of insecurity. But Stoicism teaches us that the most powerful response isn't to prove them wrong. It's to prove yourself right by mastering your own thoughts and actions. This isn't about ignoring criticism or pretending it doesn't sting. It's about channeling that energy into something constructive, something that moves you forward rather than holding you back. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In other words, true freedom comes from self-control, from the ability to rise above external noise and focus on what you can control. When you master your mind, you stop giving others the power to define your worth. You stop reacting to their doubts and start acting on your own terms. Take the story of Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Early in her career, she faced countless critics who doubted her ability to dominate the tennis world. But instead of letting their skepticism derail her, she doubled down on her training, her focus, and her belief in herself. She didn't waste energy trying to silence the doubters. She used their underestimation as fuel to push harder, to refine her skills, and to prove, not to them but to herself, that she was capable of greatness. Now think about your own life. Where do you feel the weight of external doubt? Maybe it's in your career, where someone's dismissive comment made you question your abilities. Or perhaps it's in a personal goal where others' lack of belief has made you hesitate. What if, instead of letting their doubt define your path, you focused on mastering your own mindset? What if you took one small step today to strengthen your discipline, to sharpen your focus, or to deepen your resolve? Self-mastery isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up for yourself even when others don't believe in you. It's about recognizing that the only opinion that truly matters is the one you hold of yourself. So the next time someone underestimates you, don't let their doubt become your distraction. Let it be your reminder to turn inward, to take control, and to keep moving forward, one disciplined step at a time. Why do we seek approval from those who underestimate us? It's a question worth asking because deep down we all crave recognition. We want to feel seen, valued, and understood. But here's the paradox: when we chase validation from people who don't believe in us, we're handing them the power to define our worth. Stoicism offers a different path, one that leads us inward, to a place where our sense of value isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned us about this trap. He said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." In other words, when we live for the approval of others, we're always waiting for their praise, their recognition, their validation. And in that waiting, we lose sight of the present moment, the one thing we truly control. Let's bring this to life with a story. Imagine a young artist named Maya. For years, she poured her heart into her work, only to face rejection after rejection. Critics dismissed her style as too unconventional, and galleries turned her away. At first, she felt crushed, questioning whether she was even good enough to call herself an artist. But then, something shifted. She realized she didn't need their approval to create. She began painting for herself, not for the critics or the galleries. And in that shift, she found something far more valuable than external validation: peace. Now, think about your own life. Where do you seek validation? Is it in the opinions of colleagues, friends, or even strangers on social media? What would it feel like to let go of that need and instead focus on what truly matters? Your own growth, your own values, your own sense of purpose. Stoicism teaches us that self-worth isn't something others can give or take away. It's something we cultivate within ourselves. When we stop chasing external validation, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of approval seeking. We stop living for others' expectations and start living for our own. So, the next time you feel the pull to seek validation from someone who underestimates you, pause. Ask yourself, why am I giving them this power? What do I truly value? The answers might surprise you, and they might just lead you to a deeper, more authentic sense of self. What if you prepared for underestimation before it happened? Imagine walking into a room already knowing how you'd respond if someone dismissed your ideas or questioned your abilities. This isn't about expecting the worst, it's about being ready for it. Stoicism offers a powerful tool for this kind of preparation: negative visualization. By imagining the worst-case scenario, you can train your mind to stay calm and focused, no matter what comes your way. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. At first glance, this might sound pessimistic, but it's actually a profound exercise in resilience. By anticipating challenges, you strip them of their power to surprise or unsettle you. When you've already visualized how you'll handle criticism or underestimation, you're far less likely to react impulsively or emotionally. Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Picture a CEO leading a high-stakes meeting. She knows her proposal will face pushback from skeptical board members. Instead of dreading their criticism, she spends time beforehand visualizing the toughest questions they might ask and rehearsing her calm, confident responses. When the meeting begins and the doubts are voiced, she doesn't flinch. She's prepared. She responds with clarity and poise, not because she's immune to criticism, but because she's already imagined this moment and planned her approach. Now think about your own life. When was the last time you felt caught off guard by someone's underestimation? What if, instead of being blindsided, you had already visualized that moment and decided how you'd respond? Negative visualization isn't about dwelling on the negative, it's about equipping yourself to face it with strength and composure. Take a moment to try this practice. Close your eyes and picture a scenario where someone underestimates you. Maybe it's a colleague dismissing your idea, a friend questioning your choices, or even your own inner critic whispering doubts. Now imagine yourself responding with calm confidence. What would you say? How would you carry yourself? By rehearsing this moment in your mind, you're building a mental resilience that will serve you when the real moment arrives. Negative visualization is more than just a Stoic exercise, it's a way of reclaiming your power. When you prepare for adversity, you take away its ability to shake you. You stop being a passive recipient of others' opinions and become an active participant in your own growth. So, the next time you face underestimation, remember, you've already seen this moment in your mind. And you're ready. Humility is not weakness, it's strength in disguise. In a world that often equates confidence with loudness and self-promotion, humility can feel like an underrated virtue. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies not in proving ourselves to others, but in quietly focusing on our own growth. Humility allows us to rise above the noise of underestimation, not by fighting back, but by staying grounded in our values and purpose. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Humility, in this sense, is the gateway to self-improvement. When we approach life with a humble mindset, we open ourselves to learning, to growth, and to the possibility that we might not have all the answers. This isn't about diminishing ourselves, it's about recognizing that there's always room to grow, no matter how much others may doubt us. Consider the story of Nelson Mandela. During his 27 years in prison, he faced unimaginable adversity and countless people who underestimated his resolve. Yet he emerged not with bitterness or a desire for revenge, but with a profound sense of humility. He understood that his strength didn't come from proving his critics wrong, but from focusing on his mission to build a better future for his country. His humility allowed him to lead with grace, to listen to others, and to inspire change without letting ego get in the way. Now think about your own life. When someone underestimates you, do you feel the urge to prove them wrong, to assert your worth in a way that might come across as defensive or prideful? What if instead you approached the situation with humility? What if you saw their doubt not as a threat, but as an opportunity to reflect, to grow, and to strengthen your character? Humility doesn't mean shrinking yourself or accepting disrespect. It means recognizing that your worth isn't tied to others' opinions. It means focusing on what you can control, your effort, your integrity, and your commitment to growth rather than wasting energy on what you can't. When you respond to underestimation with humility, you take away its power to shake you. You show that your strength comes from within, not from the approval of others. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember, humility is your secret weapon. It's the quiet strength that allows you to rise above the noise, to stay focused on what truly matters, and to grow into the best version of yourself. How might humility transform the way you respond to doubters in your own life? Take a moment to reflect on that and let it guide you forward. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. In a world that often rewards quick comebacks and loud defenses, silence can feel counterintuitive. But Stoicism teaches us that silence isn't passive. It's a deliberate choice, a way to preserve our energy and dignity in the face of underestimation. When someone dismisses or belittles you, responding with silence doesn't mean you're conceding. It means you're refusing to engage in a battle that doesn't serve you. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." These words remind us that not every criticism or slight deserves a reaction. Silence allows us to step back, to observe without being consumed by the emotions of the moment. It's a way of saying, "This doesn't define me," without uttering a single word. Consider the story of Rosa Parks, whose quiet strength became a symbol of resilience during the civil rights movement. When she refused to give up her seat on that bus, she didn't shout or argue. She simply sat in silence, embodying a dignity that spoke louder than any words could. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was a profound act of courage, a refusal to let others' actions dictate her worth. Now think about your own life. When was the last time you felt the urge to defend yourself against someone's underestimation? What if, instead of reacting, you chose silence? Not as a sign of defeat, but as a way to reclaim your power. Silence allows you to step out of the noise, to focus on what truly matters, your own growth, your own peace of mind. Take a moment to reflect. Are there situations in your life where silence might be your best response? Maybe it's a colleague who constantly undermines you, or a friend who dismisses your ideas. What would it feel like to let their words pass without giving them the reaction they're seeking? Silence isn't about ignoring the problem, it's about choosing not to let it control you. By embracing the Stoic art of silence, you take back your power. You show that your worth isn't up for debate and that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Silence becomes your shield, your way of saying, "I am enough," and your opinion doesn't change that. So, the next time someone underestimates you, consider this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our power. This simple yet profound idea is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, and it's especially relevant when we feel underestimated or undervalued. The truth is, we can't control how others perceive us, what they say about us, or whether they believe in our potential. But we can control how we respond, how we prepare, and how we choose to grow. This shift in focus from external circumstances to internal actions is where true freedom lies. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, framed this idea as the dichotomy of control. He said, "Some things are within our power while others are not. Our thoughts, our choices, our efforts, these are within our power. The opinions of others, the outcomes of our actions, the way the world responds to us, these are not." When we internalize this distinction, we stop wasting energy on things we can't change and start channeling it into what we can. Take the story of Elon Musk, for example. In the early days of SpaceX, he faced relentless skepticism. Critics dismissed his vision of reusable rockets as impossible, even laughable. But instead of fixating on their doubts, Musk focused on what he could control: his team's efforts, his own relentless work ethic, and his unwavering belief in the mission. By directing his energy inward, he turned what seemed like a far-fetched dream into a groundbreaking reality. Now, think about your own life. What's one area where you've been focusing too much on what you can't control? Maybe it's a colleague's dismissive attitude, a missed opportunity, or even your own fear of failure. What if, instead of dwelling on those external factors, you shifted your attention to what you can control? Your preparation, your mindset, your next step forward. Here's a simple exercise to help you practice this principle. Grab a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. In the first column, list the things you can't control: other people's opinions, past mistakes, unexpected setbacks. In the second column, write down what you can control: your effort, your attitude, your commitment to growth. This exercise isn't just about clarity, it's about empowerment. It reminds you where your energy belongs and where it doesn't. When you focus on what's within your power, you stop giving others the ability to define your worth. You stop reacting to their doubts and start acting on your own terms, and that's where the magic happens. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember, their opinion is their business. Your growth is yours, and that's where your power lies. Gratitude can transform how we see ourselves and others. When someone underestimates you, it's easy to fixate on what's missing: their approval, their recognition, their belief in your potential. But Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this mindset: gratitude. By shifting your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, you reclaim your power and rise above the noise of others' doubts. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple practice of gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's about grounding yourself in what truly matters. When you start your day by acknowledging the gifts in your life, you build a foundation of inner strength that no amount of external criticism can shake. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, the young activist who faced unimaginable adversity for standing up for girls' education. After surviving an attack that could have broken her spirit, she chose gratitude. Instead of dwelling on the hatred and violence she endured, she focused on the support she received from around the world, the opportunities she had to continue her education, and the chance to make a difference. Her gratitude didn't erase the pain, but it gave her the resilience to keep moving forward with purpose and hope. Now think about your own life. When was the last time you felt underestimated or undervalued? What if in that moment you paused and asked yourself, what am I grateful for? It could be something as simple as your health, your loved ones, or even the lessons you've learned from past challenges. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties. It means choosing to see the good alongside them. Take a moment to try this practice. Grab a piece of paper or open the Notes app on your phone and list 3 things you're grateful for today. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. They just have to be real. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or the progress you've made on a personal goal. By focusing on these moments of abundance, you shift your perspective from what's lacking to what's already within your grasp. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise, it's a tool for resilience. When you cultivate a grateful mindset, you stop giving others' doubts the power to define you. You start seeing yourself through the lens of what you have, not what you lack. And in that shift, you find the strength to rise above underestimation and keep moving forward. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember, gratitude is your secret weapon. Use it to remind yourself of your worth, your potential, and the abundance that surrounds you. The best revenge is to live well and prove them wrong. This isn't about seeking validation or engaging in a battle of words. It's about letting your actions speak louder than anyone's doubts. Stoicism teaches us that the most powerful response to underestimation isn't found in arguments or justifications. It's found in the quiet, consistent effort to improve, to excel, and to rise above the noise. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, put it this way: words need deeds to give them weight. In other words, it's not enough to talk about your potential or defend your worth. What matters is what you do, the steps you take, the progress you make, and the person you become. When you focus on action, you shift the narrative from what others think of you to what you're capable of achieving. Take the story of Thomas Edison, for example. Throughout his career, he faced relentless criticism and doubt. When he was working on the light bulb, many dismissed his efforts as futile, even calling him a crank and a lunatic. But Edison didn't waste time arguing with his critics. Instead, he poured his energy into his experiments, failing thousands of times before finally succeeding. His persistence and dedication didn't just prove his doubters wrong, they changed the world. Now, think about your own life. What's one goal or dream that others have doubted? Maybe it's a project at work, a creative endeavor, or even a personal aspiration. What if, instead of defending yourself or seeking approval, you focused on taking one small step toward that goal today? Action doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It can be as simple as showing up, putting in the effort, and refusing to let others' skepticism hold you back. Here's a challenge for you. Identify one thing you can do this week to move closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be perfect or groundbreaking, it just has to be progress. When you commit to consistent action, you build momentum, and over time that momentum becomes undeniable. The Stoic approach to proving others wrong isn't about winning arguments or silencing critics. It's about living with purpose, integrity, and relentless focus. When you let your actions speak for themselves, you don't just prove others wrong, you prove yourself right. So, what's one step you can take today to show the world what you're truly capable of? The answer to that question might just change everything. How we see a situation determines how we respond to it. This simple truth lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. When someone underestimates you, it's not the act itself that defines the outcome, it's the lens through which you view it. Stoicism teaches us that perspective is a choice, and by shifting it, we can transform even the most discouraging moments into opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, the way we interpret events shapes our emotional and mental state. If we see underestimation as a personal attack, it can leave us feeling defeated. But if we reframe it as a challenge to rise above, it becomes fuel for our determination. The power lies not in the event itself, but in how we choose to see it. Consider the story of Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, she was told she wasn't fit for television. Critics dismissed her as too emotional and unpolished, but instead of internalizing their doubts, she chose to see their skepticism as a sign that she was breaking new ground. She reframed their underestimation as proof that she was doing something different, something worth fighting for. That shift in perspective didn't just help her persevere, it propelled her to become one of the most influential figures in media history. Now think about your own life. What's one situation where you felt underestimated? Maybe it's a project at work that others dismissed, a goal that seemed out of reach, or even a personal dream that others didn't understand. What if, instead of seeing their doubt as a roadblock, you reframed it as a stepping stone? What if you asked yourself, how can this challenge help me grow? What can I learn from it? Stoicism invites us to see underestimation not as a reflection of our worth, but as an invitation to prove ourselves not to others but to ourselves. It's about recognizing that every challenge, every doubt, every moment of adversity is an opportunity to strengthen our character and deepen our resolve. So, the next time someone underestimates you, pause, take a moment to shift your perspective. Ask yourself, how can I see this differently? What's the opportunity here? By reframing the situation, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the architect of your own growth, and that's where true strength lies. Daily reflection is a Stoic tool for self-improvement. It's not just about looking back on what happened, it's about learning from it, growing from it, and becoming stronger because of it. When someone underestimates you, it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of the moment, anger, frustration, or even self-doubt. But daily reflection gives you the space to step back, to process those feelings, and to turn them into something constructive. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." In other words, reflection isn't just about reviewing your day, it's about building resilience. It's about identifying what went well, what didn't, and what you can do differently tomorrow. When you take the time to reflect, you're not just reacting to life, you're actively shaping it. Consider the story of Michelle Obama. Early in her career, she faced countless moments of being underestimated, whether it was as a young lawyer or later as First Lady. But she credits her ability to rise above those challenges to a simple yet powerful habit: daily reflection. Each evening, she would take a few minutes to think about her day, what she accomplished, what she struggled with, and how she could improve. This practice didn't just help her navigate criticism, it helped her grow into the confident, resilient leader she is today. Now, think about your own life. When was the last time you paused to reflect on how you responded to being underestimated? Did you react with anger, or did you respond with calm clarity? What could you do differently next time? Reflection isn't about dwelling on mistakes, it's about learning from them. It's about turning setbacks into stepping stones and using every experience, no matter how challenging, as an opportunity to grow. Here's a simple way to start. Tonight, before you go to bed, take 5 minutes to reflect on your day. Ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? What could I have done better? And what's one thing I'll do differently tomorrow? This small habit can have a profound impact over time. It helps you build self-awareness, strengthen your resilience, and stay focused on what truly matters: your growth. Daily reflection isn't just a Stoic practice, it's a way of reclaiming your power. When you take the time to reflect, you stop being a passive participant in your life and become an active architect of your own growth. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember, reflection is your secret weapon. Use it to learn, to grow, and to rise above. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. This idea lies at the heart of Stoicism, and it's especially relevant when we feel underestimated or doubted. Courage isn't about being fearless, it's about moving forward even when fear is present. Stoicism teaches us that fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control us. Instead, we can choose to act with courage, to stand firm in our values and convictions, even when others question our worth. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that courage isn't about changing the circumstances we face, it's about changing how we respond to them. When someone underestimates you, it's easy to feel fear of failure, fear of rejection, or even fear of proving them right. But courage allows us to face that fear head-on, to act in spite of it, and to stay true to ourselves. Consider the story of Harriet Tubman, who risked her life countless times to lead enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. She faced unimaginable dangers, hostile environments, bounty hunters, and the constant threat of capture. Yet she pressed on, not because she was fearless, but because her courage was greater than her fear. Her actions remind us that courage isn't about eliminating fear. It's about letting your purpose guide you, even when fear tries to hold you back. Now think about your own life. What's one fear that's been holding you back? Maybe it's the fear of speaking up in a meeting, the fear of pursuing a dream others don't believe in, or even the fear of standing up for yourself when someone underestimates you. What if, instead of letting that fear dictate your actions, you chose to act with courage? What if you took one small step today to confront that fear, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it? Courage doesn't have to mean grand, heroic gestures. It can be as simple as showing up, speaking your truth, or refusing to let someone else's doubt define you. Every time you act with courage, you're not just proving others wrong, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your fears. So, take a moment to reflect. What's one fear you can confront today? It doesn't have to be monumental. Even the smallest act of courage can create a ripple effect, building your confidence and resilience over time. Remember, courage isn't about being fearless, it's about choosing to move forward, even when fear is whispering in your ear. And that choice can change everything. What if you could love even the moments you're underestimated? It might sound counterintuitive, but Stoicism offers a powerful concept for doing just that: amor fati, or the love of fate. This isn't about passively accepting every hardship or pretending that challenges don't sting. It's about actively embracing every experience, good or bad, as an essential part of your journey. When you learn to love your fate, you stop resisting the obstacles in your path and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, put it beautifully: "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." In other words, when you embrace your circumstances, no matter how difficult, you transform them into fuel for your growth. Amor fati isn't about denying the pain of being underestimated. It's about recognizing that even those moments have value. They shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for what's next. Take the story of Stephen Hawking, for example. Diagnosed with a debilitating illness at a young age, he could have easily given up on his dreams. Instead, he chose to embrace his fate. He didn't see his condition as a limitation, but as a unique lens through which to explore the universe. By loving his circumstances, he turned what many would consider a tragedy into a source of unparalleled creativity and insight. His life reminds us that even the most challenging moments can become stepping stones to greatness when we choose to embrace them. Now, think about your own life. What's one challenge you've been resisting? Maybe it's a situation where you feel underestimated, a setback that's left you feeling stuck, or even a personal struggle you've been trying to avoid. What if, instead of fighting it, you chose to embrace it? What if you asked yourself, how can this challenge help me grow? What can I learn from it? Amor fati isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding meaning in the imperfect, the messy, and the difficult. It's about trusting that every experience, no matter how painful, has a role to play in your story. When you learn to love your fate, you stop seeing challenges as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities. So, take a moment to reflect. What's one challenge in your life that you can begin to embrace today? It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as simple as a difficult conversation, a project that feels overwhelming, or even a moment of self-doubt. By choosing to love your fate, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the author of your own growth, and that's where true freedom lies. Patience is the quiet strength that outlasts doubt. In a world that often values quick results and instant gratification, patience can feel like a forgotten virtue. But Stoicism reminds us that true growth, whether in overcoming underestimation or achieving our goals, takes time. It's not about rushing to prove others wrong or seeking immediate validation. It's about trusting the process, staying committed to your path, and allowing your efforts to bear fruit in their own time. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Time heals what reason cannot." This simple yet profound statement highlights the power of patience. When we feel underestimated, it's easy to want to react immediately, to defend ourselves or prove our worth. But Stoicism teaches us that patience isn't passive. It's an active choice to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. It's about understanding that some battles are won not by force but by endurance. Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered leaders in history. Before becoming president, he faced countless setbacks, failed businesses, lost elections, and relentless criticism. Many doubted his abilities, dismissing him as unfit for leadership, but Lincoln didn't let their skepticism derail him. He remained patient, persistent, and committed to his vision. Over time, his quiet strength and unwavering resolve not only silenced his critics but also transformed a nation. His story reminds us that patience isn't about waiting for success, it's about working toward it, even when the results aren't immediate. Now think about your own life. Where do you feel the pressure to rush, to prove yourself, or to seek quick validation? Maybe it's in your career, where you're eager to climb the ladder faster than others expect. Or perhaps it's in a personal goal where you're tempted to give up because progress feels slow. What if, instead of rushing, you chose to embrace patience? What if you trusted that your efforts, no matter how small, are building something meaningful over time? Patience isn't about sitting back and hoping for the best. It's about staying focused on your goals even when the path feels long and uncertain. It's about recognizing that every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And it's about understanding that the most enduring successes are often the ones that take the longest to achieve. So take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you need more patience? Is it in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth? How can you shift your focus from the need for immediate results to the value of steady progress? When you embrace patience, you don't just outlast doubt, you outgrow it. And in that growth, you find the strength to rise above any underestimation. When we remember our mortality, petty judgments lose their power. This is the essence of the Stoic practice of memento mori, Latin for remember you must die. At first glance, it might sound morbid, but this practice isn't about dwelling on death. It's about using the awareness of life's brevity to focus on what truly matters. When someone underestimates you, their opinion can feel overwhelming, even paralyzing. But when you step back and remind yourself of the bigger picture, that life is short and time is precious, their doubts suddenly seem insignificant. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, captured this idea perfectly. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. In other words, the awareness of mortality isn't meant to scare us, it's meant to free us. It strips away the distractions, the noise, and the trivialities, leaving only what's essential. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop wasting energy on proving yourself to others and start investing it in what truly matters to you. Consider the story of Steve Jobs, who famously said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." When he was ousted from Apple, the company he co-founded, many dismissed him as a has-been. But instead of letting their doubts define him, he used the practice of memento mori to refocus. He poured his energy into new ventures like Pixar and NXT, and eventually returned to Apple to lead one of the greatest comebacks in business history. His story reminds us that when we remember our mortality, we gain the clarity to rise above criticism and pursue what truly matters. Now think about your own life. What's one thing you've been holding back on because of someone else's doubts? Maybe it's a dream you've been too afraid to chase, a conversation you've been avoiding, or even a decision you've been putting off. What if, instead of letting their underestimation hold you back, you asked yourself, if I knew my time was limited, would I still let this stop me? The practice of memento mori isn't about fear, it's about freedom. It's about recognizing that life is too short to waste on seeking approval or worrying about what others think. When you remember your mortality, you stop living for others' expectations and start living for your own. So take a moment to reflect what truly matters to you. And how can you start prioritizing it today? The answer to that question might just change everything. Stoicism reminds us that we don't have to face challenges alone. While much of Stoic philosophy emphasizes self-reliance and inner strength, it also recognizes the profound impact of community. Surrounding ourselves with supportive, like-minded individuals can provide the encouragement, perspective, and resilience we need to thrive, especially when we feel underestimated or undervalued. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." This isn't about seeking constant validation or approval. It's about finding people who inspire you to grow, who challenge you to be better, and who remind you of your worth when self-doubt creeps in. A strong community doesn't just offer comfort, it helps you stay grounded in your values and focused on your purpose. Consider the story of Maya Angelou, the celebrated poet and civil rights activist. Throughout her life, she faced countless moments of being underestimated, whether as a young single mother or as a black woman in a society that often dismissed her voice. But she found strength in her community, particularly in the Harlem Writers Guild, a group of artists and thinkers who supported and challenged her. Their encouragement helped her find her voice and share it with the world, ultimately becoming one of the most influential writers of her time. Now think about your own life. Who is one person in your circle who uplifts you, who believes in your potential even when others don't? It could be a mentor, a friend, a family member, or even a colleague. Take a moment to reflect on how their support has shaped your journey. How can you lean into that relationship more intentionally, especially when you're feeling doubted or dismissed? Community isn't just about having people around you. It's about creating a space where you can grow, where you can be challenged, and where you can find the strength to rise above underestimation. So, as you navigate the challenges of life, remember, you don't have to do it alone. Find your tribe, nurture those connections, and let their belief in you fuel your own. After all, the strongest trees grow not in isolation, but in forests. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. This might sound counterintuitive, especially when someone underestimates or dismisses you. But Stoicism teaches us that holding onto resentment only weighs us down. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is a gift we give ourselves, a way to release the emotional burden and reclaim our peace of mind. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." In other words, when we hold onto anger or resentment, we're not punishing the person who wronged us, we're punishing ourselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing their behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. It means choosing to let go of the emotional chains that keep us tied to the past. Take the story of Nelson Mandela, for example. After spending 27 years in prison, he emerged not with bitterness or a desire for revenge, but with a profound commitment to forgiveness. He understood that holding on to anger would only perpetuate the cycle of pain. By choosing to forgive, he not only freed himself from resentment, but also paved the way for healing and reconciliation in his country. His story reminds us that forgiveness isn't about weakness, it's about strength. Now, think about your own life. Is there someone who's underestimated or dismissed you, leaving you feeling hurt or resentful? Maybe it's a colleague who undermined your ideas, a friend who doubted your abilities, or even a family member who didn't believe in your dreams. What would it feel like to let go of that resentment? Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Here's a simple exercise to try. Take a moment to reflect on someone you need to forgive. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture or even a conversation with them. It could be as simple as saying to yourself, "I choose to let this go." By releasing the grip of resentment, you're not just freeing them, you're freeing yourself. Forgiveness is a Stoic act of self-liberation. It's about recognizing that your peace of mind is more valuable than holding on to anger. So, the next time someone underestimates you, consider this: forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you, and in choosing to forgive, you take back your power and reclaim your peace. A strong sense of purpose makes external judgments irrelevant. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, the doubts and dismissals of others lose their power to derail you. Purpose acts as a compass, guiding you through the noise and keeping you focused on what truly matters. Stoicism teaches us that a clear sense of mission isn't just a nice-to-have, it's essential for resilience, especially when we feel underestimated or undervalued. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple yet profound reflection reminds us that purpose isn't about grand achievements or external validation. It's about aligning your actions with what you value most, so that even in the face of doubt, you can move forward with clarity and conviction. Consider the story of Marie Curie, the pioneering scientist who faced relentless skepticism and discrimination in her field. As a woman in the early 20th century, she was often underestimated and dismissed by her male peers. But Curie's unwavering commitment to her purpose, to advance scientific knowledge and improve lives, kept her focused. Despite the obstacles, she became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize and remains one of the most influential scientists in history. Her story shows us that when you're anchored in your purpose, external judgments can't shake your resolve. Now, think about your own life. What's your purpose? If you had to define it in one sentence, what would you say? Is it to create, to inspire, to learn, or to serve? Take a moment to reflect on what drives you, what gives your life meaning. When you're clear on your purpose, the opinions of others, whether they're supportive or dismissive, become secondary. You stop seeking their approval and start living for something greater. Purpose isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a practical tool for resilience. When you feel underestimated, it's your purpose that reminds you why you started in the first place. It's the quiet voice that says, "Keep going, this matters." So, as you navigate the challenges of life, remember, your purpose is your anchor. It's what keeps you steady when the winds of doubt blow strong. And with it, you can rise above any underestimation, not by proving others wrong, but by staying true to yourself. Journaling is a Stoic tool for clarity and growth. When someone underestimates you, it's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of emotions, anger, frustration, or even self-doubt. But putting pen to paper gives you a way to step back, to process those feelings, and to turn them into something constructive. Journaling isn't just about venting, it's about creating space to reflect, to plan, and to grow. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The time you spend with yourself is the most important time of all." Journaling is a way of spending time with yourself, of listening to your thoughts and untangling your emotions. It's a practice that helps you see clearly, not just what's happening around you, but what's happening within you. When you write, you're not just reacting to life, you're actively shaping it. Take the story of Maya Angelou, the celebrated poet and civil rights activist. Early in her career, she faced countless moments of being underestimated, whether as a young single mother or as a black woman in a society that often dismissed her voice. But she found strength in her journaling practice. Each day, she would write down her thoughts, her struggles, and her dreams. Over time, this practice helped her process her emotions, clarify her purpose, and find the courage to share her voice with the world. Her journals became a space where she could reflect, grow, and ultimately rise above the doubts of others. Now, think about your own life. When was the last time you felt underestimated or undervalued? What if, in that moment, you had taken a few minutes to write down your thoughts? Journaling doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It can be as simple as jotting down a few sentences each day, what you're feeling, what you're struggling with, and what you're grateful for. Over time, this small habit can have a profound impact. It helps you build self-awareness, strengthen your resilience, and stay focused on what truly matters, your growth. Here's a simple way to start. Tonight, before you go to bed, take 5 minutes to write in a journal. Ask yourself 3 questions. What went well today? What could I have done better? And what's one thing I'll do differently tomorrow? This small practice can help you process your emotions, clarify your thoughts, and prepare for the challenges ahead. Journaling isn't just a Stoic practice, it's a way of reclaiming your power. When you take the time to reflect, you stop being a passive participant in your life and become an active architect of your own growth. So the next time someone underestimates you, remember, your journal is your secret weapon. Use it to learn, to grow, and to rise above. Let's bring it all together. Throughout this video, we've explored how Stoicism offers a powerful framework for responding to underestimation, not with anger or defensiveness, but with clarity, resilience, and purpose. We've talked about the importance of detachment, the ability to separate others' opinions from your self-worth. We've discussed resilience, the strength to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. And we've emphasized self-mastery, the practice of focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your growth. These principles aren't just abstract ideas, they're tools you can use every day. When someone underestimates you, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's an invitation to rise higher, to dig deeper, and to prove to yourself what you're truly capable of. As Epictetus once said, you become what you give your attention to. So, where will you place your focus? On the fleeting opinions of others, or on the steady, unshakable foundation of your own growth? Now, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life where you've been letting others' doubts hold you back? How can you apply these Stoic principles to reclaim your power and move forward with confidence? If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How have you dealt with underestimation in your own life? And if you found these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Together, let's keep exploring how ancient wisdom can help us navigate modern challenges. Thanks for watching, and remember, the only opinion that truly matters is the one you hold of yourself. Keep growing, keep rising, and I'll see you in the next